Okay, so let's dive into this. It's been quite a week, hasn't it?
It really is.
Just over a week ago,
Yeah.
April 21st, 2025, we saw the passing of Pope Francis. A huge moment, obviously.
Absolutely. A truly significant event for, well, billions globally.
And that sets in motion this very solemn and ancient process, the conclave. That's starting May 7th.
Right, where the College of Cardinals gathers to elect the next pope. It's all very secluded, very traditional.
Steeped in history, immense gravity for the Catholic Church.
Exactly. The transition of leadership for 1.4 billion Catholics, it's always a major focus. The rituals ensure that continuity and, respect.
Right. But then, fast forward just a few days to April 29th, and things take a rather, well, unexpected turn.
Uh-huh.
President Donald Trump, he's leaving for a rally in Michigan, 100th day in office, takes questions.
Okay.
And someone asks, who should succeed Pope Francis? And his response? Just classic Trump. Big smile, apparently. And he says, I'd like to be Pope. That would be my #1 choice.
Wow. Okay. That's quite a statement to make right then.
Isn't it? It's this immediate collision, like you said, of these two worlds.
Yeah, the solemnity, the deep tradition of the papal transition on one hand.
And then this quintessential attention-grabbing quip from President Trump.
It really sort of throws into sharp relief that whole intersection of politics, religion, media, how a comment like that just instantly goes global.
Totally. And the humor is, it's pretty obvious, right? President Trump identifies as non-denominational Christian, not Catholic.
Not exactly on the path to cardinal, let alone pope.
Definitely not a cleric. So canonically speaking, it's, let's just say, impossible.
A long shot is putting it mildly.
Yet the comment, it just dominated headlines, sparked all sorts of conversations. So for this deep dive, we really wanted to unpack the layers behind it.
Makes sense.
What does it tell us about, this moment? Trump's communication style, which we all know, his history with the church, the reactions, all of it.
And it's crucial to remember the backdrop. Trump's jest came as many were mourning Pope Francis.
Yeah, a pope known for being quite progressive, focusing on humility, migrants, social justice.
He definitely left a significant mark on the church. And now you have this conclave process gearing up.
Tell us a bit more about that process.
Well, you've got about 135 cardinals, all under 80 years old. They go into seclusion, basically, in the Sistine Chapel.
Right, locked in almost.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And they vote repeatedly until someone gets a 2/3 majority. And the signal to the outside world is that famous smoke.
White smoke for a new pope, black smoke if not.
Exactly. And the world watches for that plume of white smoke.
And it was against that backdrop, all that history and solemnity, that Trump throws in his papal ambition comment.
Just amazing timing, really.
So the media reaction, predictable maybe.
Oh, completely. Time, Reuters, Newsweek, even TMZ picked it up.
And the consensus was?
Pretty much universal. It was a joke. A classic Trump off-the-cuff line. He apparently even followed up saying he didn't have this serious preference.
Ah, okay. But then he did mention someone specific, didn't he?
He did, yes. Cardinal Timothy Dolan.
The Archbishop of New York. How did Trump describe him?
He called him a cardinal that happens to be out of a place called New York who's very good.
Interesting. And Dolan has a history with Trump.
He does. Dolan gave invocations at both of Trump's inaugurations, and significantly, he just led Pope Francis's funeral mass in St. Peter's Square.
Okay. And Dolan himself, he leads the second largest U.S. diocese, right? About 2.5 million Catholics.
That's right. And he's generally seen as being on the more conservative side, theologically speaking, within the American church hierarchy.
So was Trump's mention like a subtle endorsement? A nudge, maybe?
Yeah.
Trying to signal a preference?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? But if you look at how the church actually works and how papal elections have historically gone,
Yeah.
the idea that an external political endorsement would sway the College of Cardinals is, well, highly unlikely.
Experts don't buy it.
Not really. Miles Pattenden, he's a Catholic Church historian at Oxford, basically said it's very doubtful that any cardinals will view President Trump's endorsement favorably.
What?
Their focus is overwhelmingly internal. They're looking at ecclesiastical qualifications, pastoral experience, the global mission of the church. Like Yale professor Carlos Ayer put it, the church is their main concern.
So external politics don't really factor into that room?
Not in that direct way, no. The focus is very much inward during a conclave.
Okay, that makes sense. You'd expect them to guard that decision carefully. But the political world outside the Vatican certainly reacted.
Oh, absolutely. Often with that same kind of, lightheartedness. Senator Lindsey Graham, for instance.
So what did he say?
He sort of playfully endorsed the idea on social media, said the papal conclave and the faithful should keep an open mind about Trump.
Huh. Leaning into the joke.
Exactly, which just underscores Trump's knack for, grabbing headlines, inserting himself into conversations, even ones like this.
And social media buzzed, I assume.
Instantly. You had news outlets like WIO News tweeting Trump's praise for Dolan, and then others like a user, GenC222, quickly pointing out the actual rules got to be a Catholic male, usually a bishop or cardinal.
Right, the basic eligibility criteria.
Mm.
Which brings us back to Trump's own history with religious language.
Yeah, that's a whole other layer here.
He's certainly used religious rhetoric before, hasn't he? Especially connecting with evangelical voters.
Definitely. We've heard lines invoking a divine purpose, like being saved by God to make America great again, that sort of thing.
But his relationship specifically with the Catholic Church and Pope Francis, that hasn't always been smooth sailing, right?
Not at all. Actually, it's been quite tense at times. Remember the disagreements over immigration, the border wall?
Vaguely, yeah. There were some public spats.
Oh, yes. Back in 2016, some pretty direct exchanges. And even their meeting in the Vatican in 2017.
The photos looked reasonably cordial, I thought. Wasn't there something about a dessert?
There was. The Slovenian potica. But beneath the surface, you still had these pretty fundamental ideological differences. Francis emphasizing humility, inclusion, Trump focusing on nationalism, strength, wealth.
So a definite history of tension there. Okay, so looking ahead now to the conclave itself, the cardinals who will actually be voting. And what do we know about them? Pope Francis appointed a lot of them, I heard.
That's right. Roughly 80% of the cardinals under 80, the ones who can vote, were appointed by Francis.
80%. That's huge. Does that mean the next pope will definitely be like Francis?
Well, that's the assumption some might make, but it's likely an oversimplification. Francis definitely diversified the college geographically, cardinals from places like Tonga, Papua New Guinea.
Places that didn't have cardinals before.
Often, yes, more representation from the global south. But Vatican politics are complex. These cardinals are individuals with their own views, own priorities. You can't just assume they'll all vote in lockstep with Francis's perceived agenda.
So not a guaranteed continuity candidate then. Who are some of the names being mentioned as potential successors, the Papabili?
There are always a few prominent names discussed. Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle from the Philippines. He's known for his focus on social justice. Then there's Cardinal Pietro Parolin, the current Secretary of State, very influential Vatican insider.
Right.
And maybe Cardinal Peter Erdo of Hungary. He's often seen as more theologically conservative, but also pragmatic. But these are just a few. There are others.
Any chance of an American pope this time? Besides Trump, I mean.
Well, putting him aside, most experts think it's unlikely. Miles Pattenden, the historian we mentioned, pointed this out. There are often concerns about the global perception of too much U.S. influence, so electing an American pope might be seen as adding to that.
Interesting point. So wrapping this all up, it seems pretty clear, right? Trump's comment about wanting to be pope.
Was a jest, a moment of levity, classic Trump style.
Definitely got attention, definitely sparked conversation, and his mention of Dolan is, well, interesting given their history.
But highly, highly unlikely to have any actual impact on the Cardinals when they enter the Sistine Chapel.
Their focus will be entirely elsewhere.
Precisely. It's a vivid illustration of Trump's public persona, his ability to inject himself into almost any global conversation. But ultimately, the Cardinals have a sacred task ahead. Choosing a spiritual leader for, 1.4 billion people.
Yeah, a momentous decision. So the world watches and waits. We wait for that white smoke from the Vatican chimney.
A powerful symbol of this ancient process still unfolding, even in our hyper-fast news cycle.
Oh, really is a reminder of something much bigger playing out.
And perhaps, it leaves you thinking a little bit. How do people in positions of great influence navigate these huge global moments? What are the different ways, serious or maybe even lighthearted, they choose to engage?